Foreign, there are things that are under our control and others that are not. Opinions, preferences, desires, and aversions fall into the category of what is not under our control. In essence, everything related to our actions is within our control. On the other hand, aspects like the body, wealth, reputation, and authorities are beyond our control. This is how the manual or guide to life of the famous Greek philosopher begins. If you desire to live a fulfilling life without excessive emotional burdens, it is essential to understand the distinction between what is within your control and what is not. Our duty is to invest our energy in what is under our command and disregard what is not. One of the greatest challenges faced by human beings is the opinions and judgments of others. It is practically inevitable to be affected, either negatively or positively, by them. If you genuinely wish to avoid being influenced, you must grasp that the opinions of others, insults, or any form of personal attack are not within your control. The Manual of Life teaches us how to respond when we become the target of an offense. Therefore, the purpose of this video is to extract teachings from the famous Manual of Life in order to attain a mental state that allows us to reduce or eliminate various forms of suffering arising from the judgments of others. Through 7 teachings or principles extracted from Epictetus's Manual of Life, you will learn why you should not worry about external emotions and how to achieve a state where opinions cannot harm you. Number 1. Insults or offenses. According to Epictetus, remember that the one who insults or strikes is not directly causing harm. It is our own judgment that deems these actions offensive. Therefore, if someone provokes you, keep in mind that it is your own opinion that is disturbing you in the first place. Try not to be easily influenced by appearances, for once you gain time and calm down, it will be easier to maintain self-control. One of the keys to not caring about the opinions of others is to understand that insults or offenses are not inherently harmful. The emotional discomfort that accompanies an insult actually stems from how we process and react to it. When someone belittles or disrespects you, remember that the insult will only harm you if you allow it to. The true measure of a person's worth should be based on their ability to withstand negativity. Unfortunately, life presents such challenges. When you feel insulted or offended, ask yourself, do I want to win or lose? Do I want to yield to something I cannot control? Let me draw a parallel with stoicism and pleasures. Just as we must not fight against desires in order to stop being influenced by them, the difference lies in how we process those desires. We can either completely surrender to them or choose to ignore them. Similarly, if you manage to not be disturbed by insults, the satisfaction you will feel afterward will make you someone superior and capable of progressing steadfastly through adversity. I understand how it feels when a negative comment ruins your day or week despite your efforts. Rest assured, we have all experienced such situations at some point. If this resonates with you, I recommend you continue watching, as in the next principles, we will delve into the importance of self-control. Number 2. Maintain firm purposes. In this principle, we must understand that if we want to avoid being affected by the opinions of others, the following holds true. If you have the firm purpose of understanding philosophy, prepare yourself from the start to be ridiculed and face mockery from the crowd. Be prepared to hear people say things like, "Suddenly he became a philosopher," or "Where does this arrogant attitude come from?" Ensure that you do not adopt that arrogant attitude and remain steadfast in things that contribute to your well-being. Remember, if you stay firm in your position, the same people who used to ridicule you will eventually come to admire you. However, if you let yourself be swayed by others, you will face ridicule twice. This principle, proposed by the Greek philosopher, can be applied to any other aspect of our lives. This principle is essential, as many people neglect their true talents just to please dissenting voices. What Epictetus tells us is that if we allow our purpose to be influenced by the fear of others' opinions, we will not fail because we tried and didn't succeed, but because we yielded to the opinions of others. We should not interpret this as a failure, but as a real problem. When a person gives up just to avoid social conflicts or prevent others from opining about them, it is worth persevering, even in the face of mockery or questioning. After all, by moving forward, you will be living according to your own nature. I recommend that you reflect on this whenever you need to make a decision in your life. Consider your priorities and understand the true reasons behind your choices. Number 3, don't worry if someone speaks ill of you. Don't let the idea of living in dishonor and being nobody anywhere trouble you. If not receiving honors were truly a bad thing, then others would have the power to make us unhappy, and that's not how things work. The truth is, you are only someone in things that are under your control and depend on your decisions. This principle is highly relevant in our modern days. How many times have you done something you didn't really want to do just to gain someone's approval, especially on social media? Social validation on these platforms can be like poison to a person. We should ask ourselves, is it worth changing who we truly are just to seek a little satisfaction? Is it worth putting our emotional well-being in the hands of others? My answer is clear, no. I recommend that you reflect on this, as we have all been caught doing something that embarrasses us but isn't malicious at some point. Why should we care if others laugh at us or marginalize us in terms of popularity? Do you genuinely believe that your happiness depends on how popular you are? If you live in such a way, you will be in constant conflict, as your happiness is not within your control. Therefore, you will live in a constant state of tension, changing your essence just to maintain status. One of the main principles of Stoicism is to care only about what is under your control and to become imperturbable regarding what is not. When it comes to insults, remember that nobody can hurt you unless you allow it. If someone harms you or speaks ill of you, remember that they believe they are right to do so. It is not possible for everyone to act according to what you consider right, as it may not seem right to them. So, if someone judges you based on a false appearance, it is they who harm themselves with their mistake. Therefore, tolerate the person who insults you with patience and repeat to yourself, that's just what they think. Number 4, exercise high control. For an insult to turn into an offense, as Epictetus said, we must have the same respect for our mind as we do for our body. I'm sure you wouldn't allow a stranger to enter your house every day, knowing the threat it would pose. Yet, when we receive an insult and process it as an offense, we allow that person to enter our mind and stay there for a few days. We allow strangers into our mind when we would never let them into our homes. To achieve a state where we ignore the negative feelings arising from an offense, discipline and self-control must be cultivated. Apply this to all situations in life, including with family. When you're angry, control that emotion, as it will prevent much unnecessary suffering and make you feel more at ease with yourself. Believe me, this will make a significant change in your life. Number 5, act according to your best judgment. We shouldn't be ashamed of being seen acting according to our principles, even if others may form a wrong idea of what we're doing. If we're acting correctly, why fear others' wrong judgment? This also applies to the use of social media, where we often allow our happiness to depend on popularity or validation from others. This leads us to act to please them instead of following our own path. Number 6, don't worry if someone speaks ill of you. If someone harms you or speaks ill of you, remember that they act assuming they are right to do so, but it's not possible to think that everyone would act according to what seems right to you, but not to them. Therefore, if they are judging from a false appearance, it's them who harm themselves with their mistake. Based on these principles, tolerate the person who judges you with patience, and on each of these occasions, tell yourself. Number 7, no one can hurt you. Through this 7th principle, we analyze the motivation of the sender of the insult, and what it tells us is that we can't expect everyone to act according to what you consider right or according to your worldview. This way of thinking can be very harmful. We should consider the following reflection. Is it really viable to believe that everyone has the same worldview as you? Thinking like this is quite naive. Therefore, If someone insults you, believing they know the truth about you, deeply consider the following. You know who you are. You know what you think. You know why you act and why you do what you do. The only knower of the truth about you is yourself. So, in the case of a stranger insulting you in some way, you must ask yourself the following. Did I act wrongly? If the answer is no, ask yourself, can I enter their mind and understand the reason for the insult? It's evident that you can't. Therefore, in the case of having acted correctly and facing ignorance about the motivation of the insult, you should be content, as you are the person in the world who knows yourself best. In the case of having acted correctly, you shouldn't carry the burden of regret. As Epictetus said regarding the person who insults you, that's how it seemed to them. To conclude, I would like to end with the following lesson from Epictetus. How long do you think you'll delay becoming worthy of the highest progress and following the teachings of reason you have already received, the philosophical principles with which you should be familiar? What other master are you waiting for to begin improving? You are no longer a teenager, but an adult. So if you continue neglectful, lazy, and constantly postponing things, adding excuse after excuse and putting off the day you will dedicate to yourself, life will pass by while you remain ignorant until the day of your death. What did you think of the message?